For generations, trying to fall asleep on a sweltering summer night under a damp sheet, or structuring one's day around the sun's position wasn't a fantasy, but a part of ordinary life. In an era when the hum of central air conditioning wasn't yet a familiar background noise, surviving the heat depended on a combination of thoughtful design, social customs, and remarkable ingenuity. Several tried-and-true methods allowed people to cope with the summer heat before the widespread adoption of air conditioners. The primary defense against summer heat, in the absence of thermostats, was the very design of the dwelling itself. Architects and builders of the 19th and early 20th centuries employed ingenious passive cooling techniques, often overlooked in modern architecture. For instance, homes were frequently built with exceptionally high ceilings, based on the simple physical principle that warm air rises, drawing suffocating heat away from living areas. The placement of large, tall windows was crucial and a standard feature. Positioning them on opposite walls allowed for a natural cross breeze, effectively ventilating the entire space. Additionally, many homes featured transom windows, small windows above doors, which could be left open to release hot air while maintaining privacy behind closed doors and ensuring constant air movement. Through such a well-considered approach to construction, attuned to climactic features, the building itself actively helped its inhabitants stay cool. In the pre-air conditioning era, the porch transformed into the most significant space in the home during summer, though today it's often seen merely as a decorative element. These large, covered platforms provided welcome shade where families could escape stuffy rooms. The porch served as a hub of social activity. Children played there, adults read newspapers, and families gathered for dinner. It was on the porch, on sweltering evenings, that neighbors would convene in rocking chairs to exchange news, sip iced tea, and enjoy the evening coolness. The decline of porch culture, as a community center, is directly linked to the spread of air conditioners and television, which drew American families from their porches back into the privacy of their climate-controlled living rooms. Rediscovering such clever solutions from the past is fascinating. If you enjoy learning about human ingenuity, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other similar stories. Since upstairs bedrooms without air conditioning often became veritable ovens, trapping the day's heat, some families found relief by setting up special sleeping porches. These were typically screened-in balconies or verandas, often on the second floor, designed for sleeping during hot and humid months. Families would move mattresses and pillows there to sleep under the refreshing night breeze, protected from mosquitoes. This practice was widespread from the late 1880s to the 1940s and was considered not only comfortable, but also beneficial for health. It was believed that the circulation of fresh air helped prevent diseases like tuberculosis. For many, falling asleep to the chirp of crickets and the gentle rustle of a breeze was an integral part of the summer experience. The electric fan, which became accessible to those with electricity, revolutionized domestic life. Appearing in the 1880s, these devices became widely used in homes by the 1920s and 30s. However, simply moving hot air around a room didn't always provide the desired effect, so people devised ingenious ways to boost their cooling power. One popular method involved placing a large block of ice or a basin of ice water directly in front of a running fan. As the airflow passed over the ice, it distributed cool moisture throughout the room, creating a kind of primitive air conditioner. Another trick was to hang damp sheets in front of open windows or fans, utilizing the principle of evaporative cooling to lower the temperature. Families used an ice box to keep food fresh before the electric refrigerator became commonplace in the 1940s and 50s. This required regular deliveries from an ice delivery man who would bring large blocks of ice, carrying them with iron tongs on a leather-padded shoulder. These ice blocks were indispensable in the kitchen, but also served as a source of coolness. On particularly hot days, children often flocked to the ice truck, hoping for small ice chips. In homes, ice was used not only for the icebox, but also for making cold drinks and, as mentioned, paired with fans to create improvised cooling. An entire industry which was part of daily American life for decades virtually disappeared with the advent of modern refrigeration units and air conditioning systems. Another cooling technology, the evaporative cooler, better known as a swamp cooler, gained popularity in the 1930s in the arid regions of the American Southwest. This device was a breakthrough for areas with hot, dry air. The principle of its operation involves forcing hot, dry air through water-saturated pads. As the moisture evaporates, the air cools significantly before being circulated into the home. While these coolers are ineffective in humid climates, in states like Arizona and New Mexico, they became a lifesaver, making desert life much more comfortable. They represented an early and affordable form of mechanical cooling that preceded the widespread adoption of refrigerant-based air conditioners in the region. Practicality dictated summer fashion in the pre-air conditioning era. The main goal was to wear clothing that was as light and breathable as possible. Natural fabrics like cotton, linen, and seersucker formed the basis of wardrobes because they allowed air to circulate freely without trapping heat and moisture. Men often wore light-colored suits made of these materials, and at home they might go shirtless or wear a thin cotton undershirt. Women favored loose, sleeveless cotton dresses. Children spent the summer months in minimal clothing, often just shorts or a romper, and almost always barefoot. The very idea of wearing heavy fabrics like polyester or tight-fitting garments in the heat would have been unthinkable. The sun dictated a particular rhythm of life that people adapted to. To avoid strenuous activity during the hottest part of the day, typically from noon to 4 in the afternoon, people instinctively adjusted their schedules. Farmers and outdoor laborers would start work at dawn, take a long midday break, and finish their tasks during the cooler evening hours. Heat-generating household chores, such as baking or ironing, were done in the cool of the early morning. This time was set aside for a siesta, or quiet rest in the shadiest part of the dwelling. Such a measured pace of life was a fundamental survival strategy, a way to conserve energy and avoid the dangers of heat stroke. While homes remained hot, public spaces began to offer oases of coolness. Movie theaters and large department stores in the 1920s and 30s were among the first places to install chilled air. This new luxury was heavily advertised, and it worked. On a scorching summer day, a trip to the movie theater became a favorite pastime, not just for the film, but for the blissful escape from the heat. A chance to spend a few hours in a cold, dark room. Malls and stores also became popular attractions for people wanting to window shop while enjoying free air conditioning, which drew in customers and transformed summer retail. Stories like these about changes in everyday life are always captivating. If you're interested in learning more about how technology has changed people's lives, subscribe to our channel. For children, summer heat became an excuse for communal water play. It was perfectly normal and common to see gangs of kids running through garden sprinklers or, in urban areas, gathering around an open fire hydrant. The powerful stream of water from the hydrant offered the ultimate thrill, transforming a scorching street into a temporary water park. Another cherished summer tradition was swimming in a local creek, river, or lake. All these simple pleasures required no technology, relying instead on shared resources and a sense of community. Popsicles melted faster than they could be eaten, and lemonade stands appeared on every corner, all part of a collective effort to find joy and relief in the heat.